Hi everyone, I just got back from Niagara Falls, Canada, where I played in a really fun Scrabble tournament. It was 22 rounds, there were lots of interesting games, and for me it was a particularly special experience because it marked my 1 year anniversary of playing this game competitively. It's kind of crazy to think that this time last year I barely even knew how to play Scrabble, and somehow through a lot of studying and hard work, I've gotten to the point where I can at least somewhat kind of hold up against more experienced players. Still, I have a lot to learn, and part of that learning has involved me analyzing my games. So I thought I would make this video to share some of that analysis with you. And more concretely, I wanted to take a look at a few positions, mostly in the endgame or the pre-endgame, where I really didn't understand what was going on. I hope that you find this educational, especially those of you out there who are at this intermediate level and are trying to improve your strategic understanding of the game. Scrabble is really complicated, really hard. We make lots of mistakes, and I think it's great to be learning from those. So let's get into it. The first position that I want to look at comes from a game that I played against Paula Catanese. We're going into the pre-endgame, and I'm ahead by 43 points. However, I don't really feel that great because I look at the pool and see that both blanks are out there, along with the S and some other 1 point tiles. Additionally, this last play by Paula looks like a fish, so I'm kind of concerned that she's going to bingo or she's at least getting pretty close. With that in mind, I assess the board and realize that if Paula is going to bingo, it will probably be in one of two spots. The first being the C column, parallel to AM and IO, and the second being row 14 under Gran, which takes 4 different back hooks. I'll let you figure those out. Then I think to myself, well, if Paula is going to bingo, I really would like her to do it under Gran. That way she opens up the bottom triple lane for me to use. So with this in mind, I play a move that looks really bad. And in the moment, I knew it looked really bad, but I thought it was justified. And this was the play of OES parallel to AM and IO down the C column. I knew that this wasn't the top equity play. I'm only scoring 13 points and I'm giving away my valuable S. But at the same time, I thought it was justified. Well, lo and behold, I ran a computer simulation and it was not justified. The strong Scrabble engine Macondo much prefers me to just take some points and play something like OG or G parallel to Nog. To be fair, this was a spot that I didn't really identify during the game as a place that I could score. I knew that Nog took a back G, that's a 4 letter word that I've studied, but I think I was so hyper focused on the sequence of events that I thought would happen in this game that I didn't assess all of my options. So, what was I getting wrong here? The main subtlety that I missed is that Paula doesn't necessarily have to bingo next turn. She herself could play something high scoring next to Nog, like Fave, or she could fish again and open up another lane. I'm much less equipped to deal with both of these moves after giving away my S and narrowing the score margin in this game. But things didn't exactly play out like this. Paula didn't bingo, she didn't open a new lane, and she didn't play parallel to Nog. Because of this, things get a lot more interesting. Paula makes a fishing play of Dev, which doesn't do very much to change the structure of the board, and then I draw into a bingo of my own. I identify this pretty quickly and see that it fits under Gran. However, I decide, I think correctly, to forego playing this bingo. I realize that in many cases it will give back bingos for Paula in the triple lane and she'll outscore me in this endgame. So what do I do here? I think to myself, hey, I still have a lead. I still want Paula to play under Gran. Why don't I just fish off a few tiles and make a nothing play that doesn't really perturb the board or change the shape of it? And so I decide to play Taj. And at the time I thought this was fine, but it actually turned out to be a huge mistake, maybe even a bigger mistake than OES. Makondo hates this play and says that it reduces my winning chances by almost 40%, which is pretty drastic. It wants me to, once again, make an equity play, a scoring play next to Nog. This time I can put negate there. I don't realize how bad the play of Taj is because it ends up working out in my favor. Paula bingos with deflate, emptying the bag, and I draw into an out bingo of kanjis, comfortably winning this game. What I don't realize is that any non-bingo draw at this point pretty much loses me the game. Let's say, for example, I don't draw into kanjis and draw the W instead of the S. At that point, the best I can do is play something like Wenge under deflate, which is 48 points, but Paula is very likely to bingo out in response. I haven't scored nearly enough in my last 2 turns to outrun these bingos, and I would end up losing the game by over 100 points. All of this reveals another subtlety that I missed during this game. So I was aware of the fact that Gran takes back hooks other than an S, but what I didn't internalize was that this means that certain bingos underneath Gran, like deflate, are going to open more than one lane. So they'll open the bottom triple, but they'll also open a triple in the O column. As a result of this, I'm in a really bad spot if I can't go out on my next turn. I can't score enough to outrun Paula, and there's no way for me to block the 2 lanes that she's opened up. In retrospect, I was really lucky to win this game, and what I'll take away from it is that I need to be a lot more careful when I decide to make equity sacrifices to play moves that I think are defensive. A play like OES or even a play like Taj might make sense on a board that's completely closed. So for example, on a board where the Gran hook doesn't exist. But when the board isn't completely dead and my opponent still has a lot of opportunities to score or to open things up, I'm shooting myself in the foot with these suboptimal plays that don't actually accomplish much. The next position that I want to look at comes from an endgame that I played against Vaibhav Bomalapalayam, one of the newcomers at this tournament. In retrospect, I did some things right in this endgame. I gave myself enough time, I retracked tiles, and I figured out what was in the pool. As you can see here, it was a blank C, I, N, O, R, T, and U. And for me, this was really scary because these are really good bingo tiles, and any play that I make is going to empty the bag. So there's a real chance that I'll just get bingoed out on and lose this game. So I realized that a play like Sexted, which scores decently well but doesn't touch the left side of the board, is going to lose to certain bingo draws. I generated some of these draws in my head, but I think in the moment what I misevaluated was really how many of them there were and how likely it was to get bingoed out on. There are 8, 2, 7, or 8 possible draws, and 5 out of these 8 draws yield a bingo. So if I play something like Sexted, I have a 62.5% chance of losing this game. And even in the cases where Vaibhav doesn't draw a bingo out, he still has high point plays in row 1 hitting this triple, like Turikle. I can withstand these plays, and the computer says that I win in these scenarios, but I have to be pretty precise, which is not always a guarantee at my level. Okay, but how did this actually play out? So I realized that I needed to block the J and jaw to prevent most of the possible out bingos in this position, but I just really couldn't figure out how to do it. I considered a play like Joe, but I realized pretty quickly that that gives back counter bingos like Suction or Torulin. So I discarded that option and basically just gave up on the idea of finding a blocking play. What I missed is that I actually have a play down the F column that blocks pretty much everything. This kind of play might be obvious for a more advanced player, but at my level, having not played so long, not having a great innate sense of pattern recognition, I sort of forgot that you don't have to necessarily play in the lane that you're trying to block it. You can play elsewhere on the board to restrict that lane. So in that spirit, the winning idea here is the following play of Roan. This play manages to block everything, and it actually wins 100% of the time. To illustrate this, I'll show you what would have happened in my game if I had played this. So Vaibhav drew into the bingo of Junction, and in our game, he bingoed out on me and I lost. But with those same tiles, if I had played Roan, the best Vaibhav could do is place something like unsocial in the top left-hand part of the board. I would respond with nerds, going out, and winning by 6 points. So it would still be very close. This kind of game was really frustrating for me because I knew exactly what I needed to accomplish, but I couldn't figure out a way to accomplish it, and so I kind of just gave up and lost. So in the future, obviously I need to improve on my board vision. Someday, hopefully, I'll be finding plays like Roan automatically, but until then, I think I need to force myself to consciously scan the board and to look in unexpected places for defensive ideas. This scenario also reveals a psychological flaw in my game, namely that I think I approach certain problems in Scrabble too imprecisely. For instance, in this case, I never really forced myself to come up with a specific likelihood that Vaibhav would bingo out here. I just sort of thought, it might happen, it might not happen, let's see. But if I had really stopped and kind of permutated and figured out that, wow, I'm actually going to lose this game 62% of the time, I would have been much more resourceful and I wouldn't have given up so easily. The last position that I want to look at comes from a game that I played against Chris Tenden. Overall, this game was an emotional roller coaster. It was the first one of day 2. We were playing on stream, and I start off the game by playing a tile transposition of a high probability bingo. So I played Velarian instead of Valerian and got it challenged off. That kind of messed me up in my head, but I somehow managed to hang on, and going into this endgame, I'm up by 6 points. I actually feel pretty comfortable here. Obviously, it's not great to have 3 Ns, but the N has some scoring potential on this board, and I also have the S. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I feel like I can score enough to win this game. I decide to cash in my S and play Seg, which is the highest scoring play that I could find with it. And then suddenly I'm hit with a play that I absolutely didn't anticipate. I'll give you a few seconds to see if you can find it, given what's in the pool. So the play here is Baft. It scores 32 points, and it's pretty much the only play that Chris could find here that might lose me this game. So hats off to him. In the moment, I was so shocked by it. I just really thought that there wasn't this much scoring potential on this board that I held the play and I ended up challenging it. It turns out that this challenge was a mistake. If I don't give Chris the 5 extra points, I can just barely hang on with perfect endgame play. But once I challenge, I'm pretty much guaranteed to lose. So I'll show you that sequence here. So obviously it was a mistake to challenge Baft, but if we take a step back and look at the move of Seg, we realize that I might have avoided this sticky situation altogether. I have a standout play here that can score pretty well and also block Baft. It's a little bit obscure, so I'll give you a few seconds to see if you can find it. If you found it, congratulations. The play is Galena. After this, the best Chris can do is play this very strange word of Afreet, or perhaps the more human play of F. Then I can respond with Mons, cashing in my S, and after a sequence like this, I win by 18 points. Absolutely crazy stuff. So, lessons learned. 1, I should really be more certain of my 4-letter words, but more importantly and more interestingly, I shouldn't just go into an endgame only considering where I can score and what high point plays I have. I need to also be thinking about my opponent's best move. If I had taken a look at the pool and stopped to think about this endgame from Chris's perspective, I might have noticed this spot down the J column where he can hit me with high scoring plays and done something to counteract it. So I'm going to try to implement those changes in how I play, and we'll see what happens. The next tournament for me is the July 4th Albany Scrabble Fest. I'm very excited. It's going to be huge. Lots of great people are coming from all around the world. There's lots of prize money too. That never hurts. So yeah, if you're new to Scrabble and are interested in playing tournaments, I would highly recommend checking that one out, and it should be a blast. And if you've enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like or giving my channel a subscribe. I'm going to be filming a lot more IRL Scrabble content, and your support would mean a lot to me as I just start out this new endeavor. So thanks so much.